courtroom was silent, every eye fixed on the small boy standing before the judge. His hands trembled as he clutched an old photograph, his voice barely above a whisper. Then he spoke the words that changed everything. "You're my mom." Gasps rippled through the room. The judge's face went pale, her grip tightening on the bench. How could this be? The son she had lost 8 years ago was standing right in front of her. What if everything she believed was a lie? What if her child had never been lost, but stolen? Before we continue, if you love stories of fate, justice, and redemption, make sure to subscribe to Timeless Stories so you never miss an extraordinary tale like this one. In the grand, wood-paneled courtroom, Judge Evelyn Carter was known for her unwavering resolve. At 42, she had built a reputation as a fierce protector of vulnerable children in the foster system. Her colleagues admired her for her sharp intellect and her ability to remain emotionally detached from even the most harrowing cases. But today felt different. As she reviewed the latest case, a foster child, Elijah Bennett, being returned yet again, an unusual sensation crept over her, a flicker of unease. Something about this boy tugged at her heart in a way no case ever had. 7 placements in 8 years, she murmured, flipping through the thick file. Why does no one want to keep him? She glanced up at the child in question. 8-year-old Elijah sat motionless in the front row, gripping something tightly in his small hands. His eyes, dark, deep, and haunting, met hers, and for a fleeting moment, she felt as though she knew him. Then came the moment that changed everything. He rose from his chair. The photograph he held slipped from his grasp, fluttering to the floor, but his gaze remained locked on hers. "You're my mom." The courtroom erupted in murmurs. The foster parents, James and Patricia Morgan, exchanged worried glances. The court clerk dropped her pen. The social worker beside Elijah inhaled sharply. Judge Carter's breath caught. Her hands trembled beneath her robe. Her heart pounded. "Your Honor," Patricia began, her voice tight. "Clearly, Elijah is confused. Silence. Evelyn's voice was barely more than a whisper, yet it commanded the room. She forced herself to regain composure. "Elijah, come here." The boy hesitated, glancing at the social worker for reassurance. Then slowly he approached the bench. He bent down, picked up the fallen photograph, and held it out to her. She took it with shaking fingers and turned it over. The image showed a younger version of herself, pregnant, sitting in a hospital garden. Her hand rested protectively on her swollen belly. Her breath hitched. How did Elijah have this picture? "Where did you get this?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "A nice lady gave it to me. She said to keep it safe because someday I'd find you." Tears burned her eyes. She clutched the edge of her desk, the world tilting around her. Because the truth was, 8 years ago, she had given birth to a son, and she had been told he died. As soon as the court adjourned, Evelyn locked herself in her office. She retrieved a small wooden box from her desk drawer. Inside were all that remained of her lost son, a hospital bracelet, a newborn cap, and a death certificate. A death certificate that, she now realized, might be forged. She called her closest ally, private investigator Mark Chen. "Mark," she whispered, gripping the phone, "I need you to look into something for me. 8 years ago, I gave birth to a baby boy. The hospital told me he died, but I think they lied." What followed was an investigation that would shake the entire legal system. Mark's findings led to a now-defunct adoption agency, New Horizons Family Services, linked to dozens of cases of stolen infants. They targeted single mothers, professionals, women with little family support. They created false death certificates, then sold the babies to desperate wealthy families willing to pay 6 figures for a child. Elijah was one of them, and so were hundreds of others. With evidence mounting, the FBI launched an investigation into the hospital, the agency, and the families involved in the illegal scheme. Arrests were made. Court documents surfaced. Evelyn worked tirelessly with law enforcement, determined to bring justice to the families affected. But the fight wasn't over. Elijah was still legally a ward of the state. His case would need to go through formal proceedings before he could be returned to her. At night he would ask, "Will they take me away again?" And Evelyn, holding him close, would promise, "Never again." Months later, the courtroom was packed as Evelyn sat on the opposite side of the bench, this time as a petitioner. Elijah Bennett, the judge presiding over the case, announced, will be legally returned to the custody of his biological mother, Judge Evelyn Carter. The courtroom burst into applause. Evelyn turned to Elijah, kneeling to his level. We did it, she whispered. The boy launched himself into her arms. I knew you'd find me. This story is not just about a mother and child reuniting. It is about justice, perseverance, and the countless families whose lives were torn apart by corruption. For every child lost in a broken system, for every mother who was misled, for every family denied the right to be together, Elijah's story stands as proof that the truth will always find a way to surface. Because of his courage, an entire network of child trafficking, disguised as legal adoption, has been exposed. Laws are being rewritten. Families who believed they had lost their children forever are now being reunited. The fight is far from over, but each step forward is a victory for justice. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to Timeless Stories. Each tale we share is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the unbreakable bond between loved ones. What would you do if you discovered your lost child was alive? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words matter, and your voice can inspire and bring comfort to those who have faced similar struggles. And always remember, love never truly dies. It finds a way back home.